convened as the Provo City School Board of Education, meeting at 280 West, 940 North in Provo, Utah. And we're going to begin with a roll call, and we'll start with Melanie.
Melanie Hall, board member.
Emily Harrison, board member.
Meg Van Wagenen, board member.
Wendy Dow, superintendent.
Jennifer Partridge, board president.
Gina Hales, board vice president.
Terry McKay, board member.
Lisa Boyce, board member.
Devin Daly, business administrator.
Monica Tuones, student board member.
Hutch Follis, student board member.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to convene our business meeting?
I move that we convene our business meeting.
Okay. Motion made by board member Boyce. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by board member Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now convened, and we are going to begin with opening remarks by board member Lisa Boyce.
All right, so bear with me for just a minute. When I was in first grade in Santa Barbara, California, I went to Foothill Elementary School, and my first grade teacher was Mrs. Merrill. And Mrs. Merrill recognized in me that I loved books and stories, but I wasn't a reader yet. And there always are kids that are already reading in first grade, and I was really aware of them. And so she assigned me to be the assistant librarian. And in that job, she showed me how to organize the books in a really first grade level, like use this alphabet to figure out where they go, et cetera. And I took care of the books that year. And I loved Mrs. Merrill so much I tried to fail first grade. And I was devastated when I heard I would advance to second. And something about her recognizing that one thing in me and allowing me to just almost reverently handle the books in that classroom really lit a fire that has stayed with me. And then fast forward to, I've been thinking about my senior year. I had an English teacher, Mrs. McFadden, and Mrs. McFadden would not accept my trite analyses that I would write in my school papers. She just knew that I would and could rise to more critical thinking. And as she helped me recognize and identify literary devices and use those to support a thesis or some idea that I was trying to communicate in a paper, I watched, I can look back now anyway, and see this tremendous gift that she gave to me. And this last week, I've been thinking a lot about teachers and teaching, and wondering, did I thank those teachers? Did they realize just this huge impact that these two specific teachers still have on me? I don't remember names well. The fact that I will never forget their name tells you something. And so last night I thought for my opening remarks, I would ask some Provo City School District parents, K through 12, if they would just quickly ask their children who their favorite teacher was and why, or support personnel. This could be anyone they encounter throughout their school day, and would they send that to me? And so I just wanted to read these to you tonight. I'm dropping teacher names because I only asked a small set of parents, so that wouldn't be representative. But you can just probably hear and see people you know in education in each of these comments. He is always welcoming and makes his workshop feel like such a safe space for me. She is always caring and friendly. She really listens to me. She is so intelligent and always encouraging of my best work. He is a good teacher and does fun stuff and games. He comes into lunch and talks to us and just hangs out. He always greets me with a smile, and he even knows my name. My kindergarten teacher, by a long shot, she's just nice and she does fun stuff. I love a kindergartner who says long shot. She fosters an environment of curiosity and helps her students develop critical thinking skills while providing a safe space to share different opinions. He does a lot of fun games with us, and he is so nice to us. He talks with us outside of school, too. She was so nice, and she was the best teacher in my hardest times. She involved us in the learning. He challenges us and doesn't accept made-up excuses. He teaches us such interesting things. I never miss her class. I can't learn this kind of math on my own. She made learning fun every day, even when I wasn't feeling fun. So to every employee, I thought our opening remarks and to the community at large should be thank you. Thank you to every person who works at Provo City School District. You show up for our kids as you beautify buildings, make lessons fun, learn students' names, create delicious, healthy meals, teach students to think and advocate, solve tech crises, prioritize safety, aggregate data, create budgets, coach and mentor students and one another, connect to a coworker or a child. Thank you for seeing needs and meeting them. Thank you for always learning new skills to improve in your jobs, for being flexible with difficult change, and for giving and receiving needed feedback even when it is uncomfortable. Thanks for caring so deeply and working so hard. Thank you for disagreeing with so much civility and care. Our students notice. I promise that even when you cannot see it, your work is life-changing and sometimes even life-saving. Today, as I was teaching a group of students, I made the almost mistake of using Sharpies and acrylic paint with preschoolers. And we were discussing abstract art and Kandinsky. And so I wanted them to create something on a canvas that would last, and I was trying to teach a point that a picture doesn't have to be something you can recognize, like a house or a flower or a rainbow and the things that we usually like to paint in preschool. And so we did this activity and we played music and they made shapes and lines based on what they felt as they listened to the music, etc. Anyway, at the end of this day, I heard a preschooler walk into where all these canvases were drying and she said, "Oh, look at all these feelings." And in that moment, I thought, this is why teachers teach. We teach for the minute when a light goes on for a student. And we teach for the moment that enthusiasm sparks something of curiosity and care. And we teach to connect to these students. So I know that we don't get those moments every day, and we get lots of challenges, and we have to make hard trade-offs and decisions, but I just want everyone who works here to know just how much we value you and that we need you and we need your feedback and input, and we just thank you for being here with us online or present here today.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for that great reminder of why we're here. Okay, we will now be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by our Provo High School Student Government Representative and also Student Board Member, Hutch Fale.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. As we begin our community connections portion of the meeting, I just want to let you know if you're here to give public input tonight, that will be in a few more agenda items, but there is a form for you to fill out. You can find it in the back of the room by the door there, and you will just come over here on the side of the room and turn it in to our assistant, Bonnie, and then we will take those forms when it is time for public comment, so you can start filling those out now. We'll now turn it over to Jason Cox, our Deputy Superintendent, who will present our Provo Way Awards.
Good evening, school board. Thank you for this opportunity. I want to continue the theme of the opening remarks and continue to celebrate some of our wonderful employees. Tonight we have a fantastic group to celebrate. I'd like to ask that you please stand when I call your name. We have Olivia Ziering from Shoreline Middle School, Kim Fountain from Rock Canyon Elementary, Melanie Shelley from our district office, the HR department, Carmen Williams, Independence High School, and Chelsea Beck from Technology. Let's give them a round of applause. Our video recognition, and then after that, we would love to give our board members the opportunity to thank each of you personally. So after the video, we're going to have you come up and come across and let them thank you for your work.
Olivia spends more personal, non-paid time working for her students than any other teacher I've seen or worked with. I've seen her work while on vacation in other countries. I've seen her stay hours and hours past work time and work over the holiday breaks into the night hours. She does this not because she feels like she's behind or being pressured to, but because she genuinely enjoys working on lessons for her students. She pushes them to challenge themselves and holds them to high standards while also checking in with them frequently to give them any help they might need. You can tell that she puts a great deal of thought into everything she does, even down to how she sets up her classroom and organizes it to be comfortable, safe, and filled with easy-to-find resources for students. She has also taken on the huge load of student government and has been doing spectacularly at it as she has guided students in becoming leaders and models for their peers. She works exceptionally hard and definitely deserves recognition.
Carmen teaches special ed at Independence High School, and she goes above and beyond. For example, a student that was with us for 4 years at Independence graduated last May. He hasn't had much success getting help in the community to find his way, and his mom was a little frustrated with the services, so she reached out to Carmen to find out what could be done. Well, Carmen took it upon herself to make arrangements for this young man to volunteer at the Provo City Library. The catch is he has to be supervised, and there's no one who is willing to do it because it's unpaid, it's voluntarily done, and it's a couple afternoons for a few hours a week. So Carmen took it upon herself to volunteer to supervise this young man. She had to jump through a lot of hoops to make this happen. She heads over to the Provo City Library to supervise this young man so he has the opportunity to work in our community and serve in the best way he can.
I think Chelsea is the magician behind the curtain. Our entire district depends on her to manage countless systems. Most of the time, we have no idea how much she's doing to keep things running smoothly. What makes Chelsea truly stand out isn't just her technical expertise, it's how much she genuinely cares. Whether it's troubleshooting in the moment, rolling out new tools, or patiently helping teachers navigate tech challenges, Chelsea always goes the extra mile. We are incredibly lucky to have Chelsea working her behind the curtain magic, and I'm so glad we get to shine a bit of a spotlight on her today.
Melanie has worked in HR for 30 years and is very helpful to everyone who comes to the district office. One of the many jobs that Melanie does in HR is to hire new teachers. At certain times in the year, she meets with more than 50 teachers at different times and always makes them feel important. She takes the time to ask questions and help them to feel at ease. Melanie helps place the student teachers in the classrooms. She covers the front desk no matter what. We are grateful for her and her knowledge.
Kim has been at Rock Canyon Elementary in many capacities. She keeps everything moving. She brings such professionalism and enthusiasm to every task and has a friendly, can-do attitude every day. She knows the community and the students and the families and is a huge part of our Rock Canyon community. We all know that we would be lost without Kim. She truly keeps the world spinning on its axis, and we're so grateful to have her here at Rock Canyon.
Give them another round of applause. Don't mind, we'd love to give the board members a chance to thank you, so please come on up and start right over here. Mel, I'll volunteer you since I work with you all the time. Come on up.
So much. Hi, friend. Thank you so much.
Kim, right?
Congratulations, Kim.
So happy for you to get
Hi,
started.
Melanie. Hello. Congratulations.
We had kind of a hug.
I like her.
Hey. I know. Oh my gosh. That's great. Thanks. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you.
You are awesome.
Amazing.
Like, wow.
Thank you for volunteering for that kid.
Behind the scenes, we appreciate it.
Thanks for everything you do. You didn't want to shake her shoulder again?
That's funny.
I just love this portion of our meeting each month. It's just so inspiring, and we are just blessed with so many good educators here. Let's give our Provo Way Award winners one more round of applause. thank you guys for being here tonight and for your families and friends who came to support. And you're welcome to stay, but don't feel that you have to. Our next portion of the meeting is we are going to receive a school report from our Provo High School principal, Cami Alvarez.
First of all, thank you for your support and for everything you've done for our schools and for our teachers. I'm excited to have this opportunity to share with you a little bit more about what we've been doing at Provo High School. So the first thing is I want to tell you a little bit about who we are. When I first started at Provo High School, I heard a lot of rumors of that Provo High School was the most diverse school in Utah County. And I've looked everywhere trying to find if the state had anything, and I don't know for sure if this is true. I don't know if niche is like Wikipedia, but it seems pretty reliable. But they list Provo High School as the most diverse public school in Utah County. And I think you see that when you go into our school, and you see that with the different events. Just last night, I was at Pop where they did their dance, and Hutch, like as if he isn't everywhere. Hutch was there too, did some dancing. I was impressed. But it's really nice, like anything you go into, you can kind of feel and you see that diversity, which I think is a wonderful thing. It's so important to get those different perspectives. So you know, there's a little interesting fact about Provo High School. The next one. Okay, it goes backwards a little, or I'm holding it the wrong way. Our core values are integrity, okay, and we talk to students a lot about this. We just had our testing day, and one of the things I talked to them about is integrity is doing the best you can. It's not just rushing through, but it's putting your best foot forward, no matter what you do. Inclusion. And that's probably great for the most diverse school in Utah County. And we have lots of programs. We have LIA, we have POP. There are a lot of different things, ways for students to get involved, different clubs, different activities, so lots of different things. And excellence. And the one thing I love about the excellence is it's always continually improving. And I think that's not just for students, but our staff, teachers, everybody. So those are our core values. Within the last year, it's hard when you go in, you just have a couple weeks to prepare, you're kind of learning as a principal, but one of the things that we did focus on, and it's nice to see when you focus on something and you see some changes. But one of the things last year, we had a big focus on our ML and the WIDA, which is a portion that we are looked at by the state, and we grew by 9%. And there were intentional things done to help with that growth. And so that was nice to see that, hey, we put forth these intentions, we did all this work, and it did breed results. The other thing is the growth of the lowest 25% is up 4%. Years ago when I was in school, I remember a teacher talking about end of year tests, and they said, we need the bubble kids. Let's just get the kids that are right there. And at that time, they looked a lot just at achievement. But what I love about this is we're looking at every student. It doesn't matter where they're at. We want to ensure that every student has that opportunity to have excellence and is able to grow. Another one is our chronic absenteeism, which you've probably seen across the state, across the nation. It's been a big issue. And I had a goal even like, hey, I want our chronic absenteeism down by 10%. Currently, a couple days ago, I pulled our absenteeism data, our chronic absenteeism data, and a big thanks to Nate Mitchell. He has put some data things on PowerSchool that it's amazing. And I love it because I'm checking it almost every day. Like, is it down? Is it up? It's a little bit obsessive, but our chronic absenteeism is down by 6%. And again, that's very intentional. I have my assistant principals meeting with students and parents on a regular basis, my counselors, I have social workers, people from the district, Natalie, going to homes, talking to parents, seeing like how we best can support them, how we can really make sure that they feel comfortable and are getting the best education that they can. So that's very intentional. Goals for this year. I know you guys as a district, the strategic plan was 3% every year. We were a little more loftier. We're trying for 5%. on our ELA, math, and science tests, and our WIDA access percentage of students who met proficiency by 5%. And then those who made growth, again, to increase by 5%, and that other one to decrease chronic absenteeism by 10%. Okay, what we've been working on at the school. One of the things when I was in community councils, PTA, a lot of parents said they felt like they didn't know what was going on. Like we talked to kids about different programs and they didn't know about MTech or they didn't know about CAPS. And so we've really worked hard, again, intentional at communicating with all the stakeholders. We have a weekly newsletter where we put different things so that parents can learn about. I send emails on a regular basis. We've had, I have my counselor and assistant principal here. They did an LIA night where they did things in Spanish to make sure we're reaching every part of the community. And so hopefully they've seen some increase in communication about what's happening, what's going on. I think Hutch can attest that I sent a lot of emails about testing. I did. And what was great, I get students that email me back with questions, like, is this idea okay? And I actually love that when the students are asking me questions and emailing me back things about stuff. The other one is data focus. Actually, before I came this year, teachers were telling me, we never knew about this data. We've never seen this end of year data. And I think when I was at Provost, one of the things I said, the first thing is knowing. The first thing is becoming knowledgeable about what that is. So we've done a lot of work with data. I have to give a shout out to one of my instructional coaches, Bobby Daly. He has been great at pulling NWEA data, looking at that. He even pulled data from the last year's Aspire and had individual goal sheets for students so they knew, like, hey, this is where you're at, make a goal. So that has been wonderful as we've started with the data focus. The other one is PBIS. We created a PBIS committee this year with teachers and different staff on it. We thought we needed to highlight some of the great things going on at the school that we don't always see. So we have a Student of the Month program that we started just kind of at the beginning of this year, January. Addition, we recognize students each quarter for growth, grades, and attendance, and that's something that we're continually trying to get better at. The other one of our strategies is student engagement. And before the district had their cell phone policy, we started at Provo High. And that has been a huge help, and that's been one thing that's helped with engagement. That's one end, but then on the other end, we're kind of pushing our teachers, like, let's try some different instructional strategies. What are these AVID strategies? What are different ways that we can engage students in the work? So it's not just they're sitting and getting. And so we have mini PDs once a month on Fridays that have been well received by staff. And so we're constantly going into classrooms to provide support and strategies to increase engagement for students. Okay, coming next year, some of the things that we're looking at. We are looking at math and reading supports. As we've looked at things, we've realized maybe we don't have as many interventions or supports as kids come up. We noticed that our math, we would like to have higher achievement in math, but sometimes we get students coming to math who aren't at 9th grade level. And we feel like, we need to give them something. We can't expect them to do that all on their own. So next year we have every daily math, which means students can opt in and we call parents about like suggestions to take math every day. We are also looking at a couple of reading classes, and we've been talking to Shoreline. Actually, just yesterday, my lead counselor, Pahorn, who's here, we went and we talked to Shoreline, and we met with their math head and their English head, and we talked to them about students coming up, like, how do you think they're doing? What kids do you think could use this support? And we had a great conversation. So that's also something that we're looking into even more. And they're like, we would love to sit down again and talk to your departments. And I'm like, we definitely need to do that. And so that was nice. The other thing, we applied for the Elevate grant, which focuses on our ML students and students with disabilities. And we have a dedicated committee developing plans, working to, again, look at data, decide on some things that we can do to help support those students to increase their achievement and their growth. And then next year, we need to level up our data focus. We did a lot with our summative data, but I think we can do more with our PLCs, really evaluating formative assessments and utilizing that NWEA data a little bit more. So we really want to refine that data to drive, targeted interventions in class. And that is my presentation. Do you have any questions or anything I can answer for you?
I did. So I don't know exactly how to word this, but do you have teacher leaders, and are they going to be part of this data, what we call leveling up our data focus? Are they going to be part of that?
Yes, so I have a building leadership team where there's a member from each department. Next year, I'm actually bringing 2 from each department to be even a little more involved to support that, as some are really big. And we've already been doing it. So we meet monthly, and they've gone through with that data. We've talked about the goals, and so they are involved in that already, and expect them even more. The district, I think they've actually provided, we have training for our leadership team, which on Thursday we're going to our first one. And I think that's going to help immensely to even, like I said, level that up even more.
Other questions, comments?
You just all need to know that Cami doesn't like Disney, so don't give her anything Disney related at all.
The
like
lines
Wednesday
are too long.
Addams is kind of more her vibe.
True. The lines are too long, the food is too much, and I could probably come up with 10 more things of why Disney is evil.
I just want to really commend Cami and her leadership at Provo High School. I think one of the things that we heard in our leadership conference that our leadership team went to last week was, one of the quotes was, you look at small actionable pieces of data, and then you allow your teachers to take on these small actions, and it will actually lead to big impact. And that's what you're seeing in your school. And so I'm just really impressed that you're having that. I don't know, you're executing that very, very well. And it's been a real joy to watch.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
I just wanted to also thank you. I love this school report so much. I just think it's great the way you have been so clear. What are your goals? Where are your intentions? And then what's next? I just wanted to thank you because, we hear from a lot of schools, and it's one of my favorite parts, frankly, of being able to be here at a board meeting. And I love the clarity here, and I do really, you can tell that you have a focus, and where there is intention, I think we do see results. And so thank you on behalf of everyone.
And thanks for ignoring the typos that I saw as I was giving it.
Cami, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So one of the things for next year's, not next year, this year, is student engagement. And so you spoke a bit to what you guys are doing to get the student engagement. I'm wondering what you're seeing, like how have the students responded, and what kind of engagement are you looking for, getting?
I will say that's something I want to continue next year. The biggest things we've had now has really been the teachers, like in the professional development. I've started weekly, we go to classrooms on a daily basis, and you see different kinds. I'll tell you the one classes that I found engagement the highest, which I think I want to even talk to my staff. I'm like, why do you think that is our shop classes. Mm-hmm. I was in there last year. It was the shop 3, the welding, the automotive. The kids they drive themselves. And I like to think, okay, what is it they're doing, and how can you convert that into a math class or an English class? So we're seeing things and kind of still looking at that. Next year, kind of leveling that up a little bit. I do want to collect data on that. We've talked to different ways, like going and collecting it, like from instructional coaches, admin, but I have some drafts of surveys, which I think I want students to evaluate, and students to start giving feedback about how they feel engaged, or what engages them or what doesn't. And so that's something we're continuing on to level up. But now they should be knowing strategies. And I have like Julie Hoffman going into classrooms, teachers going to her, asking her about different strategies or sharing those. And so that's where we're at now, but I think we could do better in even measuring that and communicating that with teachers and students.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, and to all of your team for all the great things you do for our students. Appreciate it. All right, now we've come to our public input portion of the meeting. Do we have anyone here to give public input? Not received any forms. Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to our business items. And we are going to start with policy 5145, personnel, employee religious beliefs, or conscience.
So this is a new policy that aligns with state law that provides that if an employee is asking for support or an exemption from something because of their religious beliefs or conscience, that if it does not alter significantly their job assignment, that we would honor that and work with that employee to do so.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve this policy?
I move that we approve policy 5145, personnel, employee religious beliefs or conscience, as discussed in study session.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Boyce. Do you have any discussion to the motion?
No.
No, I'm just grateful we have a clear policy on this. Yeah, and thanks to our teachers who gave us input, et cetera. So.
Okay, and for those who may be new to attending a business meeting, we did discuss all these policies and things we're about to vote on in our previous study session. So if we have looked at it, and if you want to know more about that discussion, you can check that out. So, all right, all in favor of the motion on this policy with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And now we have updated policy 5250, personnel conflict of interest.
So this policy we discussed in study session, making sure, I think there were a couple of changes that we addressed. This is really about just making sure we're not hiring family members and promoting family members and, raising their salaries and doing things that are against the Utah Public Officers and Employees Ethics Act. The suggestion was made to ensure that we're consistent since we have the definition at the beginning of the word relative, that we use that consistently throughout, and that on item number 6, lines 49 through 52, that we also make that consistent and make sure it says relative or a member of the household. So we just need to clarify that language there, as we discussed in study session.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve this policy?
I move that we approve policy 5250, personnel conflict of interest as discussed with the changes made in study session.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Hall. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Hales. Any discussion to the motion? Okay, all those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. And now we'll move on to policy 5090, personnel code of conduct.
This is policy that is updated from state law that just talks about what is expected of our employees in terms of how they interact with each other, how they interact with students, with parents, with the community, with a specific procedure tied to coaches, advisors, and volunteers.
All right, do we have a motion to approve policy 5090?
I move that we approve policy 5090, personnel code of conduct and its accompanying procedure as discussed in study session.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Boyce. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Any discussion to the motion?
No, but I'm really grateful. Actually, I reading through this, I thought this is a really thorough and clear policy around expectations, and I trust and know that our employees work to meet these, and I'm grateful for that. I just really appreciate the clarity in this policy.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And now we will have Devin explain to us item number 4, the large purchase request of a field mower.
So this is for the large field mower that our grounds crew uses to mow the lawns at the schools. The current one is a little over 12 years old and is needing to be replaced.
All right, do we have a motion to approve this purchase?
I move that we approve the purchase of a field mower in the amount of $135,789.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Harrison. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Hall. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And now we have another large purchase request.
So this is for the consumable materials for the 95% group for the K-3 throughout the district.
Okay. Do you have a motion to approve the 95% materials?
I move that we approve the purchase of 95% group materials for kindergarten through third grade students in the amount of $92,876.64.
Okay, motion made by Vice President Hales. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Boyce. Any discussion to the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And now we will move to the consent calendar. Were there any other questions about the consent calendar? All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Motion made by Board Member Boyce. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Harrison. And I guess that's when I should have asked if we had any other questions. But okay, any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. And now we will turn it over to our student board members for their report.
Hello. This past meeting, we had the opportunity to meet with the CMS students, and we kind of we did a different style of a meeting. I included I'm totally blanking, the middle school students on the entire meeting, because I kind of just wanted to hear their feedback, and I feel like the best way is to actually hear it from them. So our entire meeting was kind of just a conversation back and forth. One of the big discussions was CTE pathways, and we realized that no one really knows the CTE pathway until maybe your junior year of high school. So we found the root of the problem, and we decided that teaching the students in their 8th grade year or even 7th grade year, having a presentation and having physical students who have gone through a CTE pathway, show them like the benefits, what to know, what to expect, and all that different type of stuff, and have it at the middle school, having different like workshops with it, hands-on activities. And I think it was a great meeting overall. I loved hearing from the students. There was like 3 students who spoke a lot, and they had a lot to say, but it was so amazing to hear from them. Like it was a really great meeting.
Just kind of going off of what Monica was saying, one of the things we were bringing up with the CTE is maybe giving like seniors and mostly seniors, but also maybe some juniors like first priority over those CTE classes they need to finish their pathway. And when we started talking about it and I saw the 8th graders raising their hands, I thought they were about to give us the fight of our lives. But like, it was really awesome because like, I feel like they understood that they could be in that position. And so they were like really advocating for it. And then we also started discussing, at Provo, we have our shoreline days where like we bus up all the middle schoolers to Provo High, and then they get to like look at all the clubs, all the sports, and we host a little assembly for them. And we started talking about maybe doing something like that, but just for CTE, so that kids really have a full knowledge and scope of what is available for them at both high schools.
We also talked a little bit about in the class choice having different like pull down tabs to show if it qualifies for a CTE pathway, different classes that you also need to take, just so it makes it a little bit easier. Because I know a lot of people who just want to have a ton of cords around their neck, me being one of them. So I totally understand wanting to complete it. And it is a little frustrating if you have 2 of them, and then especially as a senior when you're only wanting to go to school like every other day, but it doesn't fit into your schedule. It's a little frustrating. So even just like a day or 2 before the class choice opens up for everyone, upperclassmen would have like a little bit of a priority over that. And then we also talked about joint student events. It's kind of been a conversation in all of our meetings, but we decided to take it to a middle school level and have like the POP or the LIA. Tim, you can talk to CMS, and then it could even be a joint activity with everyone. And I just think mending that relationship from the start. So going into high school, they're like, oh, I have a friend at Provo. If there's any Provo games, I know I can go talk to this person. So I think just mending the relationship overall, so then everyone just loves each other. But that was kind of our main conversation. Do you have anything else?
Just with the joint activities, like I feel like a lot of the times we're like, oh, it's not really possible. But like Principal Alvarez says, last night we had the pop showcase and we had Orem Junior High come and perform alongside us. And so that was pretty awesome to see. And so like it is possible. We just gotta like start getting things in motion.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for our board members?
Next
You guys
meeting,
are doing
April
so
2nd,
great.
at Shoreline.
Yes,
It can't be April 2nd.
Oh, it's during
We will be at
spring
spring break.
Oh.
Not April 2nd.
The following week, which would be April 9th.
Yes,
April 9th.
Really?
Oh, it
Yeah.
was originally scheduled, I remember, on April 2nd. So.
Okay.
Okay. And are applications open for next year's student board members? Yeah?
I'm going to talk about that in my.
Oh, in your update?
Yep.
Okay. Fantastic.
Amazing.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
All right. Oh, and I moved so many papers in my agenda here. Okay. Next, we'll turn it over to Devin for our business administrators report.
So Lisa made me run down my memory lane of school, and so nobody judge me from this story. So when I was in third grade, I was about 45 pounds. I wasn't a very large child, but I beat up the school bully in third grade. I pummeled him. And my mother was a teacher at the school I attended, and she went to the office, and the entire staff was in the lunchroom laughing, and she couldn't figure out why. So she walked in, which made the hilarity even worse, and they told her that I was actually in the other room being detained because I'd beat up the school bully. And they were just so shocked at what I had done and that I was even able to do so at being that small. And it made me think about how often we underestimate the capacity of people, and how grateful I am that we have principals, and Cammie got up and talked about how they're really looking at individual students, and how often just that showing that you have the belief in them and wanting to set goals. Now, there is not a goal to beat up the school bully, but not to underestimate students and their abilities. So I'm grateful for that, and I love watching all of the principals and the students have that goal in mind to make sure that all students can succeed. So no judgment.
I'm going to call you a bully now.
She approaches our budgeting with the same fervor.
Okay. All right, now we will move on to our board member roundtable reports, and we usually start at Melanie's end, so today we'll start at Lisa's end.
Well, I guess mostly I'll just speak to policy. I know we ran through a few tonight. There are a lot more in the works, and I feel like, as a policy committee, we meet twice a month, but I know there are people meeting in between those times, prioritizing what comes to us as a committee, getting feedback from our associations, hearing from principals and other stakeholders. And that work, we take it really seriously. We want policies that are clear and transparent. We want to be aligned with state laws, and as those laws change, we work hard to keep up. I think we just passed our last couple policies to make sure everything from last legislative session is in code. I'm not going to, don't quote me on that, but we have worked really hard. We've done a lot of policies. And so I want to acknowledge that I'm grateful for the work that goes in so that we actually get to look at drafts already thought through, and then we can provide feedback and input before they come here to you. So anyway, I think my report is just I'm grateful for the people working so hard to help make sure that we know how to prioritize that and what's the right time frame. I hope the public will be willing to always give us feedback. We post these policies after a first reading for a reason. It's because we want to know what you think. We want to hear from you now. We want these policies to reflect Provo and the way we want to be clear as we do our jobs. And then we want to be mindful of the unintended consequences or the extra work we might create for administrators or teachers or families with these policies. So I know it's not the most thrilling reading, but anyone willing to read a policy and give us input, we want that input so that we make sure that we have the best policies we can.
Oh, my turn. Sorry. I'm on legislative committee, LegCom, and thank heavens legislative session was over on Friday, right, Lisa? And I feel really sorry because now the policy committee has to start over again. And then I'm also on the safety committee, and HB 40 was the new school safety bill, and it passed, and it's only 53 pages if you want to read it. And then I'm also on finance with Lisa and Emily, and we just finished the RFP process to hire a new auditor. Yeah, that's it.
I feel like I go to a lot of meetings and don't accomplish anything. I don't have anything to report, but here I am. I sit on the Timpview High School Construction Committee for the next phase. And it's been great to hear the different things that the schools are doing, and then the things that not the construction company, the what do you call them? The architects are working on to help make it a great project. And I'm excited for Timpview and what will come in however many years that is. And then with student board members, grateful to our student board members who do such a great job. Our next set of student board members will be chosen this month. The applications are due Monday, March 17th at midnight. And so please, if you have students that you think would do well at this and enjoy this, please encourage them to apply. Terry just pointed out to me that we don't have the link on, the actual link is not on the website, so we will get that remedied. But I hope that we have a lot there's been a lot of interest as far as people asking about it. My guess is no one has actually applied because students are busy.
It was the ACT today.
Yes, there's so much going on. And then the juniors are very, very busy, but I'm hopeful that we will have several applications. And then just for your information, if anybody is wanting to apply or to encourage someone that they know to apply, the applications will be due the 17th at midnight, and then we'll have the board review those applications that week. And then the following week will be interviews and the actual selection, and then the announcement will be made by April 1st, which is a shift from last year. I think it was May 1st, but we shifted it back to coincide with school level elections.
Okay, thank you. I'll go last, so Meg, go ahead.
Oh, okay, great.
Sorry, surprise you.
Sorry, I was gonna look this up.
Do you want Emily to go next?
I can go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to add, I'm newly on, is that a word? Is that a way to say it? On the safety committee this year. That's a new assignment for me with Terry. So I went to my first meeting this past week, which was great. I think I just wanted to, in addition to Terry, just add, like being able to see all the hard work that our district student services and other folks, technology, but all the work they're putting in to make sure we have safe schools and all the parts that go into that, and really recognize them for their work, because we have been recognized as a district that is really ahead in a lot of these different measures. For example, the school guardian program, which has been coming up since last legislative session. There's 9 different standards that are required by the state, and that need to be met as a part of this requirement in this program. We are in the top 3% of districts in the state in completing these. So we have already worked towards all 9 are nearly complete. And so that doesn't happen without a lot of vigor and effort and teamwork, and I'm really grateful for that. Along with other things that go into keeping our schools and our students safe. Let's see. One thing that I did like, when this last meeting, our city law enforcement SROs were in attendance, a couple of them, and they wanted to point out the great collaboration that they feel like the city and the school district has together, especially when it comes to, if there's a threat at a school or a false alarm, and just how great the communication is. And they just noted that hasn't always been the case for they've noticed that maybe isn't always the case in other places, but really love that is the case here. And I think that's an effort from both entities. I took a lot of time, so I'll just report on that.
My main assignment so far has been on legislative committee, and I don't really have anything to add, but I do want to say thank you to all the committee members, Wendy and Devin and Jennifer and Terry and Katie and Christy, for teaching me so much about what goes on in the legislative process, and I hope that I'll be a better committee member as the next legislative session comes around, because I'll know a little bit more about what's going on. But it was very educational, and it's so frustrating to watch bills go through that are frustrating to the education process and that are not as helpful for teachers as maybe we would like. And I think that having relationships with legislators, hopefully moving forward, can be something that we can work towards to help be more collaborative with them instead of them not really listening to what we have to say. So anyway, thanks.
I'm just going to piggyback on what Gina said about the Timpview Construction Committee meetings. It's been eye-opening to see what the architects are coming and learning to balance what needs and wants are along with the budget. And it'll be interesting to see when the final comes in and what will have to be cut, because I'm sure not all of those will happen, but it's been a good process to be in those meetings and see that go through. I've enjoyed going to some of the faculty listening tours and hearing their teachers' concerns and also good things that are going on in the schools. So those have been helpful. Policy committee, I won't touch on that anymore because what Lisa said too about that, we've got lots of work still ahead of us on that committee. And I appreciate the student advisory committees. I appreciate the student board members and how they handle those. It's fun to see you guys in leadership that way. And I'm going to be at MTech board meeting this Wednesday, and I appreciate that alliance that we have with them.
Okay. Thank you. Some of my updates, legislative, thank you guys for the good summary. I would add that I think we've worked hard at this session to build relationships with our local legislators. In fact, one, after a busy session, still made the time to come tonight. So thank you, Lisa, for being here. But so I think we're making good strides on that, and we're going to continue that and work over between now and the next legislative session to invite them into our schools and see the good things we're doing, and also get a better sense of the challenges that we have as well. It came up in JLC, our last meeting, about being more focused on having that same kind of effort on a statewide level. We recognize that there are certain legislators that have a lot more pull, especially on education bills or funding, and how can we as an organization better build those relationships. The idea came up and it kind of just floated out there, and so I'm on the legislative committee for that, the USBA, and so we're going to do what we can to do that. But if it comes up at the regional meeting, which I can't be there on Thursday, the more people that bring up that idea, the more helpful it will be to get the organization on board with that idea, because I think that can make a huge difference. So feel free to nudge there. So, and then I want to give a huge kudos to Wendy for her listening tour. I know it's a lot of work. We have 18 schools, and she's going to all the faculty meetings. I've only been to some of them, but I've been trying to go to quite a few, and it is very enlightening, and it's great, as Melanie said, to be there. But and I know that you're really listening. You're not there just for show, but we really are listening and taking the input and seeing what we can do to make things even better for our teachers and our schools. And I did want to, last thing, share the Positive School Culture Committee. We got our PBS set survey data back, and I'm about to send you an email with some of that. And it was very interesting to see what it basically evaluated is how well our schools are following all the PBIS protocols and how well we're implementing it. And there were 2 areas where it's like, okay, here's where we can focus. And one of those was our system for responding to behavioral violations. And I think we all already know that that's where we're getting asked a lot by our schools, for better behavior supports. The school level people in the room mentioned that the level of behavior document that we have that is new this year is a great start. But now it's time to work on adding a little more clarity to a few things and maybe also making a one-pager to make it easier. And there's a school that's already done one of those, so maybe we can use some of that. But anyway, so they're going to be working on that. And then the management of things. We're pretty good at looking at the data that we're getting on where the issues are in the school, but then how do we get that down to the teacher level and actually have an impact after looking at that data? So those are the things that that committee and team will be working on, and our PBIS coaches. So, all right. And now we'll turn it over to Superintendent Dow for her report.
All right, Daryl has I left this in my office. So I got this card from our Oak Springs school. So Oak Springs is at the state hospital. And this was a card for Terry, Gina, and myself, and every student signed it because we went and helped at Reality Town.
Oh, that's so nice.
It was so cute to have conversations with the kids. Nancy Guthrie, who's up there, had coordinated it, and she did such a good job. Like, the kids all dressed, they were told to dress up, so they had to dress professionally. And they were coming up and being very professional and introducing, hello, Superintendent Dow, I am so-and-so. My job is this. I'm going to be a college professor. And it was just a really fun opportunity to connect with students that we don't often get to connect with. And it also really made me appreciate how invested our board members are and how much work each of you puts into our schools, and going to listening tours and attending school events and just being very supportive of what takes place. We're very lucky in that. And then I wanted to end with a quote that came from our school leadership team had an opportunity to go to a conference last week, and they talked about how sometimes as leaders we get caught up in the busyness of things, like it's all about the activity and what our to-do list looks like. And but we have to avoid that, because this was the quote that I thought was really great. Innovation is actually doing the real work outrageously. And I felt like there should be jazz hands or something associated with that. But, and the real work is really about taking kind of what I said to Cammie earlier, finding those small ways in which we improve our data so that you can end up with the big leaps over time. And it takes a lot of persistence to do that. And just in kind of working with principals this last week with a lot of really tough issues, and I know Jared and Daryl and Jason deal with this frequently. If you can hug a principal like this week or next week, I think it would be maybe they wouldn't appreciate it. I don't know, Cammie could speak for the principals, but maybe ask them first if they're amenable to a hug. But their jobs are really intense. And I was reminded by a presenter that said, you as a superintendent will not make as many decisions as a high school principal does in a day. And it was so true, and I was so grateful for just remembering that, and just the good work that happens. They're stuck in the trenches right now trying to figure out FTE and making teachers figuring out class assignments for next year and how they're going to manage on the budgets that they have and still provide all of the supports that they're talking about. It is nothing short of magic what they do every day. So just a huge shout out to all of them. That's it.
Wonderful. Do we have any student travel?
We have a travel that was already approved. That's both superintendent travel. One was girls basketball for Provo because they went to the state tournament. And the other one is a DECA trip for Timpview High School. That's a repeating trip. It's for nationals that will happen in Orlando over the summer. So that's it.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay. We are adjourned.